Hi guys, my name's Seb Tudor, I'm the man on Silver Mountain, and welcome back to Subnautica. Now, we've got some more lore to go over this time. Apparently we got some stuff as I logged in. Apparently there have been some updates to the game, some little bits and pieces added in or moved around or whatever else since we last logged in and last took a look, but I don't know what it did this time. So apparently we got the Cyclops Energy Efficiency module, which I'm pretty sure we already had. Maybe not, I don't know. But anyway, let's get back to the databank. So, before, advanced theories, before we were taking a look at the alien data and we took a look at some of the other bits and pieces logs-wise, but then we also took a look at the terminal data that we've collected thus far. I'm sure we've missed some. I'm sure there are some more out there which we'll go and take a look at some point. But then we've got a whole load of scan data and artifacts. But let's take a look at the scan data first, shall we? So we got the alien arch, which I believe we got from just the first teleporter that we came across, which is this structure's intended purpose is unclear. Power lines running from the nearby terminal suggest it can be switched on and off if connected to the right kind of energy source, which of course is an ion crystal, which we find out pretty quickly. Theories on function, ceremonial or religious role, industrial applications, or advanced transportation network, that one being the correct one, and what we've, to be fair, been using the teleporters, the alien arches, for. Like, they've been incredibly useful to us because they've allowed us to jump back and forth over pretty significant distances. Right, alien bone specimen case. These fossils likely came from an ancient ancestor of the Leviathans which inhabit the planet today. Okay. And then these local flora being held in stasis, the aliens evidently sought an extensive knowledge of the planet's ecosystem. So those were in one of the caches, weren't they? Or in one of the kind of offshoot rooms, possibly the one on the entrance to the Lost River, where they just had all of their specimen cases set up. Alien research equipment. The large laboratory table and accompanying scanners incorporate technologies far beyond our current level of understanding. Hypothesis, equipment maintenance, staff maintenance, specimen analysis, or specimen gene manipulation. Now I think that one, if that's from the cache that's at the entrance to the Lost River, like the first one that you kind of bump into after getting down there, I'm fairly certain that was like more of a mix of all of these, probably actually, but mostly these last two, specimen analysis and then specimen gene manipulation, because we see the same kind of equipment in the warper manufacturing kind of area. But alien robot, these are little drones. So this device does not match any known human technology. Although its design is relatively simple, its only observed behavior has been attacking local life forms in a radius around the ancient alien structures. Features few moving parts, carries a rechargeable ion-based power reserve, reliable and energy efficient. Modeling the age and purpose of the device is difficult. Its relative harmlessness is at odds with the advanced technology apparently available to its designers. So again, this is a little maintenance drone, and it's just there to kind of kill pests and drive off pests, and otherwise just maintain the facilities. You know, we've seen that a few different ways. You know, they've attacked us briefly and so on and so forth. The thing that stands out to me is that in some of these little bits of the scan here, it seems to suggest that they've got similar circuitry structures and chip structures to things that we have, even though theirs are far, far, far more advanced, which is interesting. The alien thermal plant. This system is directly converting local thermal energy into electric current at 90% efficiency. Most of this energy is being stored in a battery-like device within the plant itself, each of which holds enough to power a small city for a year. Some of, however, is being drained off, presumably as it's distributed to other facilities on the planet. The power plant appears to be fully automated and, given current understanding of its mechanisms involved, uninterruptible. Now, like I'm pretty. We'll get to the ion cube in a minute, but I'm pretty sure that if you're saying that each battery would power an entire city for a year, and we know that the energy, if 10% of the energy that's being siphoned off is being kind of thrown directly out to the gun and to the warpers and to the other facilities and things. That's there seems to be a bit of a mismatch between the amount of energy that they're generating and can probably store, considering the ion cubes and how much power seems to be in those, as well as then kind of what's going on here. But maybe I'm wrong. We'll have to see. But the blue tablet, smooth and cold with a blue light which illuminates an alien symbol resembling an uppercase H. While it is likely these devices served in part as security clearance for whoever constructed them, their size suggests some additional purpose, such as personal computers. Whatever the case, the technology is far beyond humanity's own. So the thing that kind of stands out to me in regards to this, if you're saying that these are also personal computers or whatever else, these are essentially alien PDAs. Firstly, they're huge, so either they're laptop equivalents as opposed to a PDA, or ergonomically speaking, the creatures that were using them were just much larger. Which could be the case, because some of the precursor structures are kind of huge. But the other thing that stands out to me is that if there's more to these devices than purely a kind of security pass feature, as it were, then considering we can actually fabricate these, and they don't seem to take all that much to fabricate, why haven't we seen more of their functionality when we've created one brand new? But hey. The energy core. This device houses energy equivalent to a 100 megaton nuclear detonation, which can be channeled through the facility and directly at vessels overhead. Right, so this is the energy core in the gun, in the weapons platform. And directed at vessels overhead or bent around the planet's gravitational pull to strike targets in orbit. Right, okay, so in which case there are no two guns, there is only the one gun, there is no kind of off-planet weapons platform as I suggested. It's purely a case of it fires this blast and then can curve it, kind of slingshot it around the planet into whatever it is that's coming in. Which is possibly why, because of we were slingshotting, and so it curved the bullet, as it were, to hit the Aurora, but the sunbeam was coming down in a straight line, and so as a result, it only fired when it was in very direct range. Probably because also that takes less energy. If it's 100 megaton blast every time, that's a fair amount of energy. But if you're having to make a lot more calculations and fire it so that it arcs more, I would imagine that would take more energy than just firing it in a straight line. So, hey ho. Power is routed via the attached terminal, allowing for the device to be deactivated if necessary. It is currently operating without parameters, suggesting it will attack any ship within range. So, yeah, we're not going to be able to reprogram it, but again, that's where that panel, we know that is where we need to go to deactivate the gun once we're cured. Forcefield control terminal. This device matches no known technologies and is likely alien in nature. Power is being routed via the terminal to nearby force field. Technology is far beyond anything encountered before by the Federation. Nonetheless, there is some chance it functions like a regular lock. Only requires the correct key, which again seems to be the blue tablet, but apparently there's more to the blue tablet that we're probably never going to find out. So here we go, the ion cube. This green mineral substance has no entry on the periodic table and an unprecedented ability to store huge amounts of ionic energy within it. Likely grown artificially, which we know it is because we can go down and make as many as we like. Cubic appearance suggests that it has been cut from a larger deposit. Again, we've seen that from both the larger deposits and the way that they are grown as a large deposit. Each cube contains the equivalent of 5 kilotons of TNT. And that's just one little crystal that's the size like that between our hands. So, are you saying that the thermal plant's kind of batteries or capacitors or whatever it is that it's using to store up that energy, even though it's same technology, similar kind of stuff, it's only like 5 kilotons of TNT, or the equivalent energy thereof, in every single way? So light, heat, sound, and so on and so forth, unused potential energies. That's quite a significant amount of energy there. So I don't know. There's part of me that just doesn't feel like it adds up between the amount of energy to supplying like a city for a year versus the potential for energy storage with those devices. The thing is, as much as I say it doesn't seem to fit well in my head, there seems to be a little bit of a disconnect to me. Firstly, I'm probably wrong to one degree or another, and it doesn't matter anyway because it's fiction. But also, I'm thinking modern cities, whilst their cities may very well be more energy intensive, even if they've got better energy sources to use. So, hey ho. This device hums slightly and displays an orange lit symbol resembling an N. Whoa, that's very nice, thank you very much. Okay, so these are the ones that we find first. So, purple tablet. This carbon-based device is lighter than it looks and features a symbol that resembles a U lit up in purple. Despite the onboard power still functioning, algae growth on the exterior indicates it was abandoned hundreds, perhaps thousands of years ago. While the technology is far beyond Federation levels, there is no obvious way to interface with it. It should nonetheless be possible to fabricate a precise physical copy of the device if necessary. Okay, so it's basically just going, we can copy it exactly, and that's kind of all we can do with it. Okay, but the self-warping quarantine enforcer units, which are the warpers, who are arseholes, but hey ho. So this is from the facility where they were building the warpers. So this life form shows signs of heavy genetic modification and extensive mechanical grafting. Its digestive and pulmonary systems have been replaced by an onboard battery receiving energy directly from this facility and distributing it around the body. So it has a wireless kind of energy source, but obviously a battery then to store up for if it moved out of range or if it did something else. Probably also because it's warping. Potentially when it warps, it's no longer in contact with the kind of energy generation facility. Miniaturized phase technology has been implanted beneath its skin and is triggered by the central nervous system, allowing the construct to teleport at will. Excuse me. The brain and central nervous system have been digitally augmented with advanced processing power and remote communications. Assessment programmable hunter-killer, and we should avoid it. Yep, if I can avoid them, I do. But again, like, the miniaturized phase technology, our PDA can apparently recognize it. So the phase tech that we have is like, there seems to be like one way of using this technology, and it's all added up. But again, that also means that the alien archers either don't use the same technology or kind of create the same effect that our phase gates use, but in a different way. I mean, in theory, there's still a whole phase gate still on the Aurora somewhere, unless it got vaporized as we came through the atmosphere because the front, where a lot of the cargo seemed to be stored, got blown out. But hey ho. Right, let's take a look at these artifacts. So these are the artifacts, I think, from Yeah, most of these are the alien artifacts from the Emperor facility. So, alien building block. This rock-like object features organic as well as mechanical parts, and there is some genetic and technological crossover with the design of the self-warping constructs encountered elsewhere. It appears to serve no purpose in its current state and is awaiting some kind of activation sequence. Materials such as this have been a fundamental building block of the aliens' technology, or even of the aliens themselves. So we've got this biotech thing. It does have seemingly the same alien writing that we've seen on the tablets and other stuff on it. So potentially this is like a seed to grow new stuff, or potentially an older version of tech that did that, and now they've moved on to other stuff that includes the way that they built the warpers, and that's why there's the crossover. Okay, so the alien carving. Now this looks like a yin-yang, which is kind of interesting, but hey-ho. This carving is hundreds of thousands of years old and made from an unrecognized natural fiber grown on an unknown planet. Well, yeah, you would imagine it would be grown on an unknown planet if it was completely unrecognizable. Oh, sorry. It bears striking resemblance to an old Earth yin-yang symbol. Two competing theories may explain this similarity. One, aliens visited Earth prior to the 4th century BC and influenced the development of ancient Chinese philosophy. Two, the concept of yin-yang is universal, since yin and yang describe the fundamental interdependency of seemingly opposite forces. It may be a necessary existential understanding in some form in all sufficiently developed civilizations. The tapering of the two circles, union into opposed and infinitesimally small points. The infinite is one logical way to represent this understanding and may have been developed independently by species other than humans. Well, we'll see in a minute that we know that that's not quite the case, because it seems to be the primary, possibly both, but it seems to very much be the primary assessment there, because we've got other Earth-based historical artifacts in amongst these things. So we'll take a look at that in a second. Right. But again, this is interesting because it seems like you've got a suggestion of kind of harmony and kind of connectivity and the infinite and so on and so forth. But the thing that stands out is that that doesn't really necessarily seem to add up with a lot of what the precursors are doing. So potentially this is from a different society, a different alien culture, or a precursor to the precursors even. Because the precursors seem to be much colder than having kind of this. But, I mean, it could, as it says, it could be a mix of both in a much larger way as well. Alien rifle, strong resemblance to human weaponry in form. This device must have been designed with a humanoid user in mind. Whether the aliens that built this structure were themselves humanoid or otherwise employed the use of humanoids is unclear. What is clear is that they considered defending this facility a necessary precaution. There is no obvious way to remove the rifle from the case, which is a real damn shame. But it's like, you can see from the picture there that it seems to be kind of plasticky. It seems to be a modular weapon as well to a degree, but also seems to have some kind of magnetic element to it, considering that the barrel is literally floating free of the rest of the device. So, and it's got a weird rectangular crosshair there, which could be a display, could be a targeting reticule, but the thing that stands out to me is that that's, as it says, it's very humanoid. And so, but it also doesn't seem to add up with an awful lot of the stuff that we've seen from the precursors so far. So I'm guessing that there was another humanoid race somewhere that would use this rifle. It might even be an Easter egg from another one of of these guys' games, but who knows. Alien statue. This artifact is unpowered, suggesting it served a ceremonial rather than a practical purpose. The pyramid resembles vines spiraling upwards towards a warm blue stone mounted above it. It may represent a plant found on the alien's homeworld, a building of religious import, or even the gravitational pull of their home solar system. This very interesting, but unfortunately, there's no, just from the image, just from from what's said here, there's nothing really else for us to go on. Like, it reminds me a little bit of some of the stuff from Dead Space, but it doesn't stand out as anything, unfortunately. But here we go. The Ancient Earth Blade. An ancient earth blade dating back to the 13th century. Blood samples on the blade matching the DNA of 7 separate heads of state from the period. This evidence supports the theory that the aliens are an ancient spaceborne civilization engaged in surreptitious study of less developed species. So, we've got this interesting thing here where, they've come to Earth, they've studied us, they've looked at things and tested stuff out, arguably kind of maybe shared some of their learning with us in regards to the yin-yang and stuff like that, but other than that, unfortunately, they've not left us with much. Oh, excuse me. Scans indicate this device contains enough potential energy to destroy the entire planet along with most of the solar system. It was presumably to be used in the event of a quarantine failure. Fortunately, it has malfunctioned. But how has it malfunctioned? That's the question I've got to ask, because that could be both good and bad. But also, that's an awful lot of energy to have. Holographic projector. This device contains network apparatus and a holographic projection unit. It was likely used as a communications relay, capturing and projecting the image of the user to a remote location. There do not appear to be any other devices in range, which is probably good for us, because if we suddenly inadvertently called out to them or they called in to us, then that would possibly be really bad, and we'd have whatever remains of the precursors rushing to destroy the planet, or us at the very least. Nanobots. Scans show some form of advanced nanobot inside this seemingly empty case. These bots are substantially smaller than any developed within the Federation. It is not possible to ascertain their exact function. It would, however, be unwise to release them, because nanobots are crazy dangerous if not controlled properly. Organic matter particulator. This device contains a highly unstable radioactive isotope likely to destroy all organisms exposed to it, while leaving physical structures intact. Although it would function perfectly well as a weapon, it is more likely used to sterilize spaces for later inhabitation. Without instructions, it would be unwise to interact with this. See how that... Also, the writing, the symbols on it seem to be completely removed from what we've seen from the precursors. So, again... excuse me. This seems to be tech that they've picked up from another species earlier on. Rudimentary tablet. This device shares many similarities with the tablets used to access the alien facilities. Although its structure is rather less complex, it may have served as a similar purpose, granting security access and storing relevant data, and was thus kept here as a form of legacy support. Which is interesting, but not kind of unexpected. They'd have to have something here as either a master key or a backup, or even something that was older tech that was maybe more hardy but less kind of up to date. So, it doesn't surprise me that it's here at all. But what it was used for... Oh, I can't stop yawning. I'm sorry. But what it was used for is kind of up in the air at the moment, so we'll have to see about that. The tracking implant. This construct is emitting a high bandwidth signal consistent with alien transmissions intercepted elsewhere. DNA on the exterior indicates it was once implanted inside one of the life forms indigenous to 4546b. its size suggesting the subject was a Leviathan-class organism beyond tracking the broadcasting its location. The implant may have also recorded biological data on the subject, however this data cannot be retrieved. So there's a good chance that this may at one point have been inside the Sea Emperor as a tracking unit, and that's one of the reasons why it's now in this display case, because it did a good job, and so they want to keep it as a memento, as it were. Translation device. This device stores linguistic data for over 1,000 different languages. The core of the device may allow alien text to be read and translated. Analysis of the onboard data reveals a number of ancient Earth languages, and the term CHBC Live appears many times in the device's data. Its import is unclear. The device seems to be configured to translate into the designer's language. It will not work the other way around. That's unfortunate, but it's kind of to be expected. Right, so that's all of the alien data. So now we've got the advanced theory. And there are only a handful of these, so we'll just quickly run through them. So the bacterial infection report. In fact, let's just have a quick drink. There we go. Bacterial infection report. You have been infected with a previously unknown waterborne bacterium. It is currently multiplying in your bloodstream. Estimated incubation time 2 weeks. It's been longer than 2 weeks, but hey, plot armor. Your immune system is currently combating the infection at low efficacy. You may already be experiencing flu-like symptoms and skin irritation. These will likely be exacerbated as the bacterium takes hold. Your immediate priority should be abatement and eradication of the infection. Recommended steps: salvage further alien research data on a possible vaccine, investigate the mechanisms which have enabled the indigenous ecosystem to inhibit the symptoms of the infection. But they don't really inhibit the symptoms, because we do still find Kara infected folks buzzing around. So we'll see. Hatching enzymes, which is what we still need to go and get one more thing for them. We need the sea crowns, or sea crown individually. Excuse me. In a normal life cycle, it seems emperor specimens would have buried their eggs in much shallower waters, where different organic materials in the soil would have triggered a hatching response. By combining flora from the emperor's nesting regions with the hatching enzyme from the parent itself, it should be possible to fabricate a substance which would synthesize a natural environment and catalyze the birthing process. Okay, so let's go from the bottom actually. So we've got unusual peeper behavior. These inflow pipes are being used by peepers to access the otherwise isolated facility. Peeper behavior elsewhere on the planet suggests they are not being sucked in by accident, but rather have evolved to actively seek out the correct access points. The specimens scanned have all consumed high quantities of seeds from the surface world. Specimens show differing levels of bacterial symptoms. Right, so the peepers are sucking up seeds and then depositing them in the Emperor's facility to try and help kind of sort out the environment in there, just so that the Sea Emperor can actually get to where it's going, hatch the eggs and all that kind of thing. But then beyond that, again, they're being healed or like somewhat cured of the Kara each time they go down there. So, you know, there's some interesting stuff there, but also it's like, how did this come about? Was it a natural thing that the Sea Emperor got them to start doing telepathically, or is it something that the precursors did? You know, we'll probably never know, but it's there. So Sea Emperor Leviathan eggs, uncommonly strong shell lining, organic growth on the exterior suggests these eggs were laid hundreds of years ago. Alien tubes, alien device penetrating the outer shell, likely designed to supply it with nutrients, isolate them from surrounding environment. We got the basics of the actual creature itself. You know, it's fairly straightforward. And then this was the casing that got broken open, which is the shell casing is formed of thick layers of carbon composite, suggesting an extensive gestation period. This Leviathan species may give birth once per century, perhaps just once in their lifetimes. Precise incisions suggest the laser-based tool was used to cut open the egg casing and forcibly remove the fetus inside prior to full gestation. Analysis. Time pressure to develop a bacterial vaccine may have driven the alien researchers to cut open this egg and remove the fetus for study. It is also possible that, removed from its parent and natural habitat, some vital condition for the infant to hatch naturally was not met. Okay, so we've got through all of those, and now the last thing we've got to do is take a look at indigenous life forms, but that's going to be a long one. So what I think I'm going to do, guys, is I'm going to call it here. Thank you very much for joining me again, and I hope you're finding what we're finding out interesting, like the fact that there aren't two guns. It is literally a case of one gun firing around the planet and stuff like that. But yeah, you know, as I said in the last video, there are a couple of other things that we need to take a look at and stuff afterwards. Like, if you want me to take a look at the blueprints before I just finish off, or after I've done the indigenous life forms, if you want me to take a look at the blueprints so that we get a better idea of some of the tech that's being used, then please tell me. Otherwise, I'm just going to finish off the indigenous life forms. I'm going to pick up where we left off, find those sea crowns, get us cured, shut down the gun, and then we're going to go and hunt for other stuff that we've not found yet. You know, I want to have that security of being kind of settled with the stuff that we've still got to do, and then after that we can go and look at other things. But otherwise, guys, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the video tomorrow. Take care. Thank you very much for watching, guys. If you enjoyed this video, please drop us a like, share this video, and subscribe for more, and I'll see you in the video tomorrow. Take care.